Evening. How are we? Bloody hell, it's nice. It's beautiful outside. Yep, the sun is out. It's roasty toasty. It's ideal garden weather for sitting outside, having a beer. But what could beat that? Yep, watching an old bloke watching some classic 1980s TV. Yeah, brilliant. It feels ages ago since I've done this. It was actually only 7 days ago. In fact, no, it was actually 8 days ago because I think it's normally a Wednesday. So, anyway, listen. Thanks for dropping in tonight. We've got a few people in. The usual motley crew. Let's have a quick roll call. When I call your name, make yourself known. We've got Ian Batchelor. We've got Steve 8-Bit Gaming. We've got Mr. Thorne. Mr. 3K1, aka Del Boy. Got Mark whatever. Mr. Colin Gregory. Good evening, Squire. Jambon and Mental. And Claxon Cow. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, good stuff. And sorry, not forgetting, most importantly, LFC Gamer and Vlogs. And Kenny as well. Evening, Kenny. I feel like it was only earlier on that I spoke to you. By the way, Kenny, I completely forgot. Dreadnought tomorrow night. Let me know if you fancy it. I might be driving because I've got Cooksville and Sarah, but let me know if you're up for the Dreadnought tomorrow night. Anyway, right, listen, let's batter on. I think we've done. Thankfully, we've done the computer program. That was bloody dry. Good stuff, Kenny. I'll message you later on, mate. We've done the computer program. That was as dry as a badger's backside, if that's the right analogy. I don't know, not too sure. So what I plan to do is, I think, in fact, wait a wee minute. No, we're not going to jump to Micro Live. If I remember rightly, let me just have a quick look. There was actually a program that came out between the computer program and Micro Live, so we don't want to miss anything. Let me just find out where I've got all this shite. There we go, retro programs. What was it called? Yeah, making the most of the micro. Now, was that before? Does anybody know it was making the most of the micro? Let me do a quick check. Making the most of the micro. Right, I think this came out. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's right. It did. It came out. It was, you had the computer program, then you had making the most of the micro, and then you had Micro Live. So I think we should watch that. What do you think? Well, I don't really care what you think. Sounds a bit dry. How do you mean? Oh, sorry, are you talking about tomorrow night? Hopefully you can hear this all right. Anyway, right, so we're going to watch Making the Most of the Micro. It came out in 1983. Let's share this video file. Right, what we want to do is we just want to copy one of the across. In fact, we'll watch two, I think. Yeah. Or what do you want? Do we do? Nah, listen, we'll watch two of these, and if we can be arsed, we might even watch whatever it is, a Starcade copy here. There we go. Right, okay, so this is Making the Most of the Micro Season 1. I think there was only one season, and it's episode. How did we become, when did we start calling programs, a collection of programs, seasons? We called it series 1. We didn't call it episodes. We're turning into bloody... You've got more flavour. What the hell are you talking about, Kenny? I've got absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Right, anyway, let's ignore Kenny. Right, this is Making the Most of the Micro. Let's stick it on. Right, let me know if this is too
Well, until recently, it's been
Well, I know
fashionable
that's
to
too
say
loud.
that the microcomputers coming on the market were only really for playing games, and that most people would never find serious uses for them. Well, over the next 10 programs, we'll be seeing just what can be done with micros, and looking at the principles of how you can use them
Evening,
yourself.
Mr. Elliott. How are you,
That's what we're
mate?
calling this series, Making the Most of the Micro.
See, they're still sticking with the theme of Brown. Right, I can't actually turn up the volume. Turn up the volume for the programme, unfortunately. Is it loud enough to hear? Let me know. I'm not sure. I don't know if Mr. Harris appeared enough or not.
Richard Gombe suffers from cerebral palsy. He can't speak, he can't walk, his limb movements are unpredictable, but he can control the movement of his head. His disabilities, though, haven't prevented him pursuing an academic career. He's studying for a PhD in philosophy at Swansea. And it was the agony of writing long philosophical dissertations using an ordinary electric typewriter that first led him to consider how a computer could help him.
That would take an age bloody typing using that. Christ. Yeah, let's hope we can live in hope, Mark. A posh bud. You see, they're getting high tech with their little subtitles. Oh, there's a Commodore VIC 20 or a Commodore 64. You must get thrown out using that thing constantly, Jesus. Yeah, it's a VIC 20, I think. I'm trying to figure out what the hell he's actually got on the end of that thing. Is that a knife or something? Yeah, that's a proper printer, isn't it? None of this laser bollocks. It's mental to think now, yeah. I mean, the technology now, it's just phenomenal, you know. It looks absolutely archaic. Hey, VIC 20. Oh, he's actually turning shit on just using that. Yeah, clever. What pop pickles?
It's just you and your Uncle Popeye.
Yeah, completely jumbo. Totally agree, mate. I don't remember that sketch. I think I've definitely seen it. Yeah, don't remember it. Interactive Fantasies. I'm sure Dell sent me a link to one of these things. It's called that. It might be something different to this, though. Zombie Island.
The micro has opened up a whole new world for Richard Gombe. He's now writing software to help other disabled people extend their abilities through computers.
A test card in
And
the
he
right
also
hand
claims to
side,
have discovered one of the most important laws in computing, Gom's law. Well, Richard Gom isn't the first to discover that computers aren't quite as foolproof as the adverts promise. But through that film, we've already seen a few of the jobs they can do, and jobs that are increasing in variety all the time. Now, you may have a machine of your own, or you may be thinking of buying one. And there's a confusing array of them, and the adverts are full of technical jargon, which we hope to explain. Well, although they're all similar, there are many small differences between machines, and we can't look at every one in detail, so for much of the time,
looks like
we'll be
Mr.
using the
Sterling has
BBC
been,
Micro.
going
Well,
to
with
get
me today
us.
is John
Oh,
Colgan,
there we
who
go.
uses
We've got
guide to this
Boffin.
machine and knows much more about it than I do. John, this is a fairly simple layout, but it's fairly standard for most micros.
That's right. It's got the three elements that you expect to find. The computer itself, a colour monitor so that we can look at the output pictures from the computer, and a cassette recorder for playing the programs back into the computer.
Well, I haven't got a monitor. I use
Stick with it, Clarkson.
What's the difference?
Well, that's fine. You can use that quite well, but with a colour monitor you get a much sharper and crisper picture, particularly when you're using colour graphics. It shows...
Particularly for pornography. And
Well, you can't use it to get television pictures, I suppose.
That's right, that's right. Now, both of those, the television and the colour monitor, plug in at the back. And in fact, that's where the ordinary domestic television set plugs in. The black and white monitor can go in there, and the colour monitor plugs into that socket. The next socket along here is used for plugging printer in, or you can plug in a connection to a telephone line so that you can connect to satellite circuits and so on. An ordinary domestic cassette recorder
What's that
plugs in there.
BBC microcomputer made in UK by
A few more
Econ,
up here.
designed
This
by...
socket is where we plug in games paddles, things like that. And these two at the end are special connections so that we can connect the studio equipment in and get a television picture from the computer.
Yeah, you noticed that, yeah.
Most of the other ones are fairly...
He mentioned other computers and then he
Absolutely.
swiftly
Very
moved on to the BBC.
Right.
Well, let's load a program in. We've got a cassette here, an ordinary
This one's
audio
called
cassette.
Strip
And we
Poker.
can
Let's
load
blind
that
mode
into, load the program that's stored on there into the computer. So we type load demo 1,
Teaching the granny to suck eggs there,
press the
mate.
return key, and then start the recorder playing. And in a moment, that will start a program loading from the cassette recorder into the computer. In fact, it's just started now.
What's the significance of
Max
those
trying
numbers?
not to look...
Well, those
pissed
numbers are
off.
rather like pages in a book. We're on page 3 at the moment, and each page has got a certain number of characters stored on it.
It looks
About
like we're kind of
250
rewound a wee bit.
characters
This is
on each
taking us
page.
back to basics.
The
But anyway,
program is in fact stored as a set of
See what I did
audio
there?
tones or
Basics.
whistles. We can listen to those if we pull out this plug.
I always feel confident listening to that because it makes sure it's working, something's happening.
That's right, you can actually hear it. You may have heard just two different notes, a high note and a low note. Anyway, the program's just about loaded in. It's actually about 4,000 characters long.
It took
the
about
most
20,
exciting
30 seconds or so.
part in
That's
this
right.
programme would be the person in charge
It's
of
not too
wardrobe.
bad, but cassettes are slow.
Chocolate brown sweater
Well,
and
it's
some
loaded in. Let's
ties.
run it now. RUN, return. And this program is in fact a simulation of the loading process, of loading a cassette tape as it goes past the playback head on the cassette recorder. And I can start the tape moving, and you can hear the two notes that represent the 0 and the 1 that the computer understands. The high note represents a 1, and the low note represents a 0.
Well, as you said, this is a very slow method of getting stuff into a computer, but it is very, very cheap. Why not? Let's use a disk unit.
That's right, that's a lot faster. We've got here a floppy
Yeah,
disk,
Max, make this
and
program
it consists of a
grinding
piece of
teeth.
plastic, rather like the tape used on a
Like biting
cassette.
tongue.
It's it's inside an envelope, and you have to be careful to protect it. You mustn't scratch that surface, as you have to look after cassettes as well. And that is played through a disk unit. So let's plug that disk unit in. Got two connections. That first one is the power supply to the disk drive, and the second one is the data lead, or the lead down which the characters come. There, that's plugged in. And we can now plug the floppy disk, or insert the floppy disk into the drive, and we can have a look and see what programs we've got stored on this drive. Ask for a catalogue of the drive.
Actually
There's a lot
missed
of
this
programs.
drive.
There's the whole list of them here.
Old
yes.
floppy drives.
Well, let's take one of those and load it in. Load program called Demo 2.
Yeah, the
Just watch how
BBC
quick
had a
this is.
plethora of
Go.
bloody different extensions and bloody
Again, you can
ports and
just
what
hear
have
it's
you.
almost instantaneous. Well, how much faster is it than the cassette?
Well, it's about 100 times faster, loading from floppy
Mark,
disk.
you're asking him and you already know the
How much
answer,
does it
son.
cost in comparison?
Well, the comparison is about 7 times more expensive for the drive unit than for an ordinary cassette recorder, but a lot faster. Let's run that program. And as you can see, it generates some high-res color graphics and some music to go with it.
It's very beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's that reassuring click,
But to
putting
make
a
this
little
into a
bit
really
of this in
complex
and
system,
then
what we need is a
locking it.
printer on it.
That's
Missed
right,
that.
that's certainly the next thing to add on to the system.
If you play Elite Dangerous
And
and
we
look
can plug that in.
to your left in the
Again,
there's a
underneath.
BBC keyboard on your ship.
And that you'll find on any other micro, you'd always find a
Yes,
printer
indeed.
socket. Yes.
Somewhere to plug a printer in. Now, you'd want a printer really for 2 reasons. Either because you're
You
developing
know, the
your
one
own
thing that
programs and you
I
want to
don't
be
like
able
about
to
the
list them out,
BBC,
see what program
but it
instructions
annoys
do.
me, is the
Or
fact that
else,
you
if
can't
you're
control
using the
the
computer as a
volume.
word processor, you might want to print the
I
letter
don't
out.
think you can. I've actually got
The
skeleton
word
over my
processor that
speaker.
really converts into
It's
rather
too loud.
sophisticated typewriter, enables you to correct errors or move paragraphs around without having to retype the whole letter.
That's right, that's right. And the word processor chip itself, or the word processor,
So
isn't
I'm
held on
thinking this is
cassette
going to be a
or
long,
on floppy disk.
a
but we
long
actually got the word
series, I
processing
think.
program on this integrated circuit, this chip.
And that's plugged into the machine into a socket in the
That's
machine.
right, we've got one inside like that. And by pushing that key there, we can enable
I'm not
that chip,
quite
turn that
sure
chip
what
on,
this,
and turn it into a word processor.
Program's actually bringing to the
let's
table.
now
You know,
print
we've
out
already
the
had
script
the
of this
basic
program.
stuff.
The script is actually stored on floppy disk. So I'll tell it to
I think one
print
episode of this might be
the
quite enough, and then we'll
script
stick a
out.
starcade on. We'll see.
You'll see in a moment that's coming from the floppy disk and appearing on the screen. At the same time, also on the printer over here.
Well, thank you very much, John. Well, different computers may appear to be very different, but deep down, the way the various parts are organised is very much the same with all machines. And it's been like that ever since the earliest computers. And if you look hard enough, some of those old machines are still around.
Top bomb, is it?
When I think of the design
Ah,
of aircraft, I
bollocks.
think of aerodynamics and complex mathematics, particularly in the design of the wing, which is, after all, what keeps the aeroplane in the air. But on a sailing boat, the sails are effectively the wing stuck vertically in the air, and that's what enables the boat to sail against the wind itself. But those sails, they're complex, they're three-dimensional, they're curved in every direction. A flat sail would have the aerodynamics of a brick. Being so complex in their shape, they require very complex mathematics to enable the optimum shape and the optimal design to be made, particularly for professional sails that consistently win races.
Mac's name is Rio, and he's dancing on the sand. Oh, Reet Treff, how you doing, buddy?
This is a sail loft at Bruce Banks Sails, one of the largest in the country. It's here that the cut pieces of cloth are laid out before being sewn. You can see the subtle curves on these two pieces, which are about to be joined together to an accuracy the thickness of a pencil line. And that means very precise calculations. Up to a year ago, those sails were designed using this computer, a rare piece of antiquity. It's only 20 years old, built in the late 50s. But today, they're being designed on this micro. Not only is it a lot smaller, but it's much more flexible and even more powerful than this machine here. But looking at it, we can see some fundamental similarities. Similarities that exist on almost every type of computer you look at. They're overcoming the same types of problems, the problems of how to get data in. On this, it's done with a keyboard, and the output is either on a screen here or on the line printer. The little box here holds the memory and also the processor. It's very, very small.
I'm guessing it must have blew
The
up in
backing
the
store
water.
is on a floppy disk, or a couple of floppies here. Each one of these
Bloody
floppies
hell, look at the
holding
size of that thing.
500,000 characters. And of course, it can be
Is that
backed
double
up
floppy
by
disk?
the old familiar cassette system. But let's look at how they solved the same sort of problems 20 years ago. Well, first of all, the data was input on punch paper tape, rather like this. It was produced on a typewriter-like device, punched the paper tape out, and then read on this reader here.
Funny thing was, in
This is
1985,
the
when I
control
started
panel of this
working in an
computer,
office,
and commands can be issued by
there
setting
was
switches,
women who
or
actually
even
used
just
these
dialing
things
them
called
through
compometers. They were like
telephone dial.
actual
This is an
mechanical
interesting device.
adding
It's a
machines.
meter
They
which
use
gives
calculators,
percentage
use
program efficiency,
manual
whatever that may
things.
be.
Bizarre.
But once the computer's calculated its results, they can be output on this punch, once again, in punch paper tape form. But that's rather difficult to read, so in its turn, it's input into a teleprinter where the ordinary printout comes out. Well, that's the input, that's the output. The most fascinating part of this computer is
Yeah,
this.
he's got a bit too casual as Mac.
The central processing unit and the backing store. Well, as you can see, it's a valve computer. It's a digital computer. That means it operates in binary. The numbers are carried in binary notation. In other words, a series of ons and offs. The backing store of this machine is this. It's a magnetic drum. It's rotating around here at 6,000 revs a minute, and on that drum is recorded the binary notation, binary numbers, and it's read off by these read heads here,
That's
one
insane,
on each
isn't
track. But how does information get from the paper tape reader, where it's read in, through this complicated maze of wires and so on, onto the drum and then be calculated on to eventually end up on the punch? Well, the secret is this. A gate. And this is a gate or a type of switch. It can either be open or closed, on or off. Again, binary positioning. And you can understand clearly how it works from this model of an AND gate. The signal will pass along this wire if that switch and that switch are both on. The alternate type of switch...
Yeah, you're probably right, Rodian.
Types of switch in this machine. This is another one, is an OR gate, which means that the signal will pass if that switch or...
If you're under 30 years old and you've just tuned in, yep, this was an early computer.
500 or 600 switches in this machine to make it work. It's a beautiful mechanism. It actually still works, and the owners are looking for a good home for it because it's been replaced by this. The central processing unit from the micro they're now using, and unbelievably, it's got several thousand of those gates in it.
Space. Final frontier.
Well, imagine yourself inside a microcomputer. You see arrays of chips and other rather mysterious-looking components. But where does the program from the cassette tape go when you run it into the computer? Remember the stream of musical notes, either high or low, correspond to our ons and offs. We call this a bit stream. Each of the beeps represents one bit of information. And because each bit follows the one before, it's called a serial bit stream. Now, somewhere over there is an area of the computer whose job it is to communicate with the outside world. There are inputs from cassette, disc, joysticks, and so on, and chips to process the information received. The musical notes are converted into simple electrical ons and offs. This stream of bits then goes into another chip where it's packaged into...
If you just join the stream and you're looking for some Games Master double entendres and what have you, then you're going to be sadly mistaken.
Each chunk of 8 bits is called a byte, and the program then travels 1 byte at a time as a parallel bit stream along 8 wires known as a bus into this thing that I'm sitting on. This is the main chip, if you like, the microprocessor, the central processing unit, or CPU for short.
What we're thinking, another episode of this, or the big jump straight into Stargate.
Micro. Other CPUs can handle 16 or even 32 bits, but most personal micros are 8-bit
we skip this completely and jump into Micro Live?
Our program one at a time to part of the computer's memory. Well, this is a representation of it.
God forbid it can be used to play games.
Each of these has an address so that the CPU can find information that it wants later on. The byte stream goes into the CPU, then the byte is transferred in parallel, one at a time, into memory. Just imagine if one of these bits gets in the wrong place, the chances of a program working
we'll watch one of them,
slim.
another one, and then
this CPU can use about 64,000 bytes of memory at any one time, or in computer jargon, 64K. But only some of that is available to hold our program or information typed in from the keyboard. This is the working memory space of the computer. These chips hold 16K of working memory. That's over 16,000 bytes of information. And you can add more by plugging in more chips right here in front of me, up to a maximum of 32K.
They're using extra sort of technology for this.
Bigger programs, more information, or better graphics on the screen. It's called random access memory, or RAM for short. And on this particular machine, it's volatile, which means that if you switch the machine off and you switch it on again, you lose all the information and the programs you've got in your memory at that time, and you've got to input them once again. Well, this isn't the only memory in the computer. You remember, this is an 8-bit machine, and it can have up to 64K of memory. Well, these chips over here also
trying to figure out, have they actually-
this contains programs
Is
which
that
are
just,
permanently
has
burnt
he
into
been
them.
overlaid
This
that,
one
or
here
is he
contains
actually have they
instructions for the
built a
language which the
giant
computer understands.
computer for him to
In this
walk about
case,
on?
BASIC. And this one over here contains what's called the machine operating system. It's the program that does the housekeeping
Even
inside
Mr.
the
T-Bone,
computer itself.
you know, you square.
How the computer makes letters appear on the screen and how it knows what key I'm pressing when I'm using the keyboard. Now, unlike a program held in RAM where the information is volatile, this kind of program doesn't disappear when the power's switched off. There's a representation of memory. If I switch the machine off, then on again, the exact same representation is there. It's what's known as read-only memory, or ROM for short. Well, over here, there's also some empty sockets where you can plug in chips which have a variety of other programs burnt onto them. For example, a word processing program, or even a different language like Pascal. Well, we've only had time to look at the most important chips in this micro. There are many others concerned with linking the machine with all kinds of different input-output devices from the outside world. Now, let's see how I get out of here. How about that? Well, we've seen some of the things you can attach to the computer, and here are a few others which we'll be looking at in the course of the series. Now, in a similar way to the way we stored our script and then printed it out on a printer, so we can store
man, I'm
it
finding
in the
this
memory of the
pretty
computer.
hard going.
And here we've got a design of a house in the memory of a computer, and we're rotating it around almost as if we're circling the house in a helicopter. It would be possible to change either the program or the data
exactly.
to change this if you didn't like a particular view. Now, if we wanted to print that out on a normal printer, really would be rather unsatisfactory. So we use this device, which is a two-dimensional plotter. And we can hit the key, and away it goes. Now, it prints it with a pen there of one colour. It's a black pen that we happen to have in at the moment. At the side, there are other pens, red, green, and blue, and so on. And it can even change those pens to give a sort of multicolour effect on this line plot. And it's quite a high quality. The plot is an expensive piece of gear. It plugs straight into the computer at the back, and there's a special software to drive it. Well, here's a more modest setup, which makes it further connections to the machine. What's happening is my voice is being picked up by the microphone, fed through some electronic gadgetry, and then the computer analyzes it and feeds it back here. We get this trace here, and the man even opens his mouth. Ha, ha. We have another device here which can also input information into the computer, and I'll read another program in from disk, and there we have a representation of a weighing machine, and on the side the same information displayed digitally. All I have to do is to press this pad. You are 31 pounds, it reads it off there, and on the weighing machine it moves. Not only can it do that, but it can actually weigh me. They have to print on this. Of course, it's not a cheap piece of gear, isn't it? It's very inaccurate.
Get off, you
some
fat
representation of what you are 205 pounds. Not only will it read it out digitally, but I simply press a button, and with a bit of luck,
you are 205 pounds.
And need to lose some weight. Well, in later programs, we'll look in more detail at how we can use it for displaying graphics, making music, controlling equipment, and handling
I think Chris Settle was
many other things,
absolutely
talking
raging
to the
that he
computer,
never got the gig
and
for
to
that.
talk to us, and looking at how it can monitor what's happening in the world around it. Next time, we start looking at how you can write your own program.
Brown. Even his glasses are brown. There we go, Jesus, right, okay. I think we should watch one more. It can only get better. Roger Lim. I don't know why they never brought Chris Terrell back. No, he didn't want to do it, I don't know. I noticed only one woman's name in the credits there. What does that tell you? Yep, most of the geeks were blokes. Right, anyway, let's... I don't care what you want. I think we should watch another one. Right, let's go for number 2. Hopefully you could hear that. Right, this is number 2. Series 1, episode 2. Let's roll. Yeah, I was going to say it's either Chris Ferrell or Kraftwerk, one has to go, but they both disappeared. Yeah, very true, Kenny. Mr. Ferrell could fuck the fun right for any programme.
I think I was astounded by my own ignorance.
I'm sure he was in this other series.
Computers seem to be very expensive and very
That Rick Smallick? No, he was the guy with
used as an excuse.
the posh cigarette holder.
And then when Sinclair first bought out the ZX81 at 70 odd pounds, I couldn't help feeling then this was a price which was cheap enough to be worth the risk.
Bravo.
Patrick Eager is a leading cricket photographer whose pictures are in demand all over the world. 2 years ago, he began what he thought was going to be a mild flirtation with the world of microcomputers. And like any beginner, he had to start by learning the rules of the game.
I do remember well getting the thing out of its box and plugging it into the telly,
Yeah.
and putting in two, and then a plus, and then a 2, and then an equals, and wondering why on earth it didn't respond.
I didn't mean that.
And there was an agonising page right at the beginning about eggs equals 57, as far as I remember, which, again, in retrospect, didn't seem quite fair.
I was thinking the very same
once
thing
one got the
myself.
hang of it, and really, it wasn't that difficult. It was just a question of learning, like learning any language, whether it's French or German or basic.
Patrick Eager's first computer, a Sinclair ZX81, helped him, and now also his children, to learn how to write programs in BASIC. This is the language used by most personal micros,
Only got
and
so
probably
big,
the
so I
easiest
didn't
for
follow
beginners
that,
to
eh?
understand. Although he felt the machine was rather limited in some ways,
Bloody hell,
it gave
slides.
him a good idea of how a computer could really help him in his business.
I'd seen some of the potential with someone who was working in a similar field to my own, and I was just frightened of spending a lot of money on software and indeed hardware. And
Very true,
a
Mr.
friend of mine
T.
who has his own computer consultancy said, well, look, borrow an Apple for a week and see how you get on. And don't go off and buy software. You know BASIC. Why on earth don't you write it yourself?
Just
And I
stick
found,
it
in
up
fact,
bloody
it was
good.
quite possible to put programs together fairly simply. The difference between Sinclair BASIC and Applesoft BASIC is not too traumatic. I mean, I had a couple of rather worrying hours when nothing fitted, but after that it was fine. And I found that one could write quite complicated programs really quite quickly. Now I send everything out on a computer-printed delivery note, and I can call up lists of the photographs which have arrived or haven't arrived, and I can send letters chasing them up, which range from polite
That's
to extremely
exactly
rude, all in a
right.
touch of a
I
button.
watched
It's
it
marvellous.
because it had computers in it, and that was enough to make me want to watch
This,
it.
in the old days, was where it was such agony. In fact, I
Didn't
didn't
really
do
matter.
it,
It was
which
just
meant
why
a lot
they're
of
not
photographs
stuff
were missing.
because it had a computer
A
in it.
lot of bills weren't even sent, and certainly weren't paid. The joy of it is that the longer you have it, the more you think about it, the more applications you can think of. I mean, I do all the captions on the back of black and white prints now. You might have 10 prints, each with quite a long caption. And it's just a question of pressing a button, print 10 times. It's a simple loop in your program, and it just prints out the same thing beautifully, evenly, and without mistake 10 times. You know, and every day one comes up with something a little bit better. It's fun.
Well, if you've just bought a computer or you've bought one for your kids and are wondering why they're spending hours typing away, maybe they're playing games or maybe they're actually writing their own programs. Well, not everybody takes to computer programming as easily as Patrick Eager did, but he says it's quite fun to have a try. Of course, the programs you write can be hard or as easy as the problems you're trying to solve, but the principles are surprisingly straightforward. We're going to begin to look at some of those fundamentals today. If you can follow what we do, you stand a good chance of being able to write some programs for yourself. Well, the first thing you're faced with is this rather intimidating keyboard, and you feel you want to type something in, so you type something like Mac, M-A-C, and it says mistake. The computer doesn't recognise Mac as an instruction. I do know it does recognise CLS, which is a command, and that means clear screen. I press the carriage return button, and it clears the screen. Now, on this floppy disk here, we have a program written, and I load it into this disk drive. I'm going to load that program into the computer's memory by typing another command, load. And the program name is Sticks. and you'll see why it's called Sticks in a moment. Hit return, and immediately it starts to load, and it's finished. Now, all we have to do, I always feel a bit uncomfortable once it's loaded into the machine to actually know that it's in there. And you can very quickly check whether it's actually in the memory of the machine by typing another command, list. Hit return.
Alternatively, you could just type run.
There is the computer program. And it's a sequence of instructions that the computer is going to follow one after the other. You can recognize it as basic because it's numbered down the side here. You'll see we've numbered it in tens, which allows us to put in other instructions in case we want to modify the program or to correct some errors. So all we've got to do now is to run it. And you can see why we've called the program Sticks. It looks rather like the sort of trajectory of a chopstick thrown up in a Chinese restaurant.
That was about your average fare for computers back then, that thing. We're not getting postcard. That looks like they were obviously cutting the budget.
Is similar in many ways to the way a restaurant carries out your order for a meal. It's very important to use words or instructions that the computer can understand. There's not much point coming into a Chinese restaurant speaking Italian and asking them to clean your soup. The waiter will be totally baffled. So it's important to use the right language. And in a restaurant, we've got a list of words that can be used on the menu. Similarly, in a computer, there's a list of instructions, commands, or keywords that the computer knows exactly what to do with.
You bloody Bruce Lee.
I'd like the baked prawns in chili,
Yes.
hot, and the beef chow mein, please.
Yes.
Ordering the meal is comparable to writing a computer program. Just as the waiter takes my order in English and converts it into shorthand, so the computer takes my instructions and translates them into a code that its central processor can deal with.
The old
The
pin.
kitchen is the equivalent, if you like, of the central processing unit. Here they make up the dish that I've ordered. They don't need to know English, they just need to recognize the shorthand which the waiter has given them. The chef knows that that Chinese symbol means he's got to cook prawns and chili to make baked prawns in chili. Of course, out here, I really don't need to know what's going on in the kitchen. That is, unless I plan to run a
apart from the fact
Chinese
it could be
restaurant.
stuck
They've
in
got
your
their own
food.
ways of doing things.
Apart from that.
Equally, I do know that there are rules and regulations that govern the overall management and running of this restaurant. The equivalent on a computer is the operating system. And it's the operating system, for example, which, when I type MAC on the keyboard, ensures that MAC appears on the screen. Equally, it's the management of this restaurant that makes sure that when I order baked prawns and chili,
I really hope that's true,
baked
John.
prawns and chili actually does arrive.
Sure. Big prawn chilies.
Baked prawn and chili. Thank you very much. They look delicious. And beef chow mein. This is
That's
beautiful.
actually making me quite hungry.
And it really was excellent. Well, at first, a Chinese menu looks very confusing. But if you break it down to meat dishes, fish dishes, vegetable dishes, rice and sweets and so on, it very quickly makes some sort of sense. Well, similarly, as confusing as this sort of thing may appear, it's helpful to remember that in writing computer programs, there are really only 3 programming structures. And all programs are made of instructions based on these 3 ideas. A sequence, doing one thing after another. A decision, or as it's called in computer jargon, a branch. If one thing is true, do this, otherwise do something else. And a loop, doing something over and over again. We can see these 3 principles in action in everyday life. And here's something we've all had to endure in our time. We've asked this class of junior school children to put up with a slightly artificial situation for our benefit. And we're going to write a program to mimic what they and their teacher, Malcolm Rivers, are doing.
iPad inside.
Stop there, please. Put your pencils down. We're going to do some tables work this morning. I'm going to think of 2 numbers. I want you to multiply them together in your head and then give me the answer. Claire, 6 8s.
48.
That's correct. Nicholas, 3 4s.
12.
That's correct. Well done. Oliver, 9 9s.
42.
No, that's not
You
correct.
twat.
Simon,
Hell.
8 4s.
We'll break down what he's been doing into simple steps. First, a sequence, one thing after another. He's thinking of 2 numbers between 1 and 12 in his head. And of course he knows, or at least he should do, what the correct answer is. Next, he asks the question, what is the first number times the second? Then he receives an answer from a child. But now he makes a decision.
Should
If
I
the reply
belt
the
him?
child gives is right, he
Yes,
says one
no.
thing, If not, he says another. And then last of all, he goes back and asks the next question. In other words, he repeats the process again.
They keep on back for a special lesson.
Well, that gives a pretty simple design for our programme. I think it's always important to have something written down on paper to work on before you start tapping away at a keyboard. Well, the first thing Malcolm was doing was...
When you think about the times table,
so we need to do the equivalent of this electronically. Inside the computer, we need to create what we call variables. Well, I think of a variable as an electronic box that we give it a name to. The contents can vary, but the name stays the same. In Patrick Eager's eggs equals 57, which you found so amusing, eggs is the name of the variable. 57 is the number stored in the electronic box called eggs. Well, we can start off with Malcolm's first number, and we'll call the variable first, and his second number second. And he had to think of a number between 1 and 12.
Would be possible, but this is actually drier than the previous programme we're watching.
So we'll store that in that variable. Second number, which he thought of, is a 6, and so we'll store that there. And then he multiplied the two together, and in his head he kept the answer, which we'll call correct. And 6 11s are 66, and that's the number that he has in his head. Well, we can program that now on the computer, and some genius has programmed it so I don't have to type in every word. I wish all programming was done like this. All I have to do is to touch the space bar, and automatically the instructions come up. It's absolutely marvellous. Well, the first variable, we've called first, is R&D brackets 12 is a random number between 1 and 12, which is exactly what
it is. And the micromen, which was
the next one is 20. 20. Second equals a random number between 1 and 12. And then we multiply them together to get the number he has in his mind. Correct equals first.
And according to that, the guys, the programmers, or the guys that actually made the BBC
to ask a question.
They were doing the programming because it was used in the computer programming. They were actually doing, they were writing these programs.
Whatever appears between the inverted commas is actually printed out on the screen. What is first? And it will take the contents of first and put them in there. Again, in inverted commas, times second. It will take the contents of the variable second and put it in there. So print what is first times second. Well, when he's asked the child that, the child will give a reply. And we create another variable called reply. So Malcolm says, what is 6 times 11? And the child may answer 56. And that's his reply. So we call this variable reply, and it will contain that number. So we need to have a method of getting that number into the computer itself. So the next instruction, and here is a command input. That's the computer asking us from input from the keyboard, and we will input a number which will be stored in the variable reply. So we've done that, ask a question, get a reply, and now we go on to, is the reply correct? So far, that's a sequence of instructions. They're obeyed one after the other. Now we come to the branch, which is a very key part of any computer technology. If reply, which is the number that's been input from the keyboard, is equal to correct, then print, and inverted commas again, right. Else, and that's quite important, that else, not otherwise or, it's just part of the language of BASIC that we're particularly using on this machine. Else, print, inverted commas again, wrong. And that's a nice little program, and it will run, and we can actually do that.
Watch for the experts.
I simply type run. What is 11 times 9? 45. I really do know the answer, of course, but I'm really testing the program. Wrong. So it's right. Ha, got that one. Run again. What is 5 times 1? 4. Wrong. Run again. What is 8 times 10? 80. Right, so that little program is working. Now, before we make the program more sophisticated, let's ask our teacher, Malcolm Rivers, to try a different approach with his class.
Malcolm Rivers.
Now, this time when I ask you a question, if you get it right, I'll tell you that's right.
You get a sweet.
If you get the answer wrong,
you come
can
into
have 3 goes to see if you can get it right. So keep guessing. Daniel. 6 9s.
47.
No, that's not correct. Try again.
Talk about humiliating the poor ginger child.
No, that's not correct. Try again.
Jesus.
59.
No, that's not correct. The answer is 54.
You stupid boy.
6.
So he's going around the class from child to child, giving each one 3 chances to get the right answer.
Jen,
And if the answer is still wrong after 3 tries, he
They get
tells the
belted.
child the correct value.
Susan, 6 sevens.
42.
That's correct.
Well, I'm not sure who was testing who there, but I've got a shrewd idea those kids really did know the answers. But what we need to do now is to introduce the first of some fairly simple loops into our program. It's very boring to have to type run every time we want to run it. And what we're going to do is to repeat this loop here.
I don't think you can get away with that nowadays. When I used to go to geography, you have to stand up and then you would point to
right
a
or wrong.
thing in the map.
Now see why
And
we've left
basically
these
the
gaps
last
here
person
between
that,
the lines.
you couldn't sit down
30,
until you
40,
go
we
on
can
right.
just number line
Talking about
35,
the,
put repeat in there.
putting pressure on you.
In line 70 until reply equals correct. And that program would then go on repeating itself and repeating itself until we got the correct answer. Well, that itself is not quite good enough. What Malcolm did do was to give the children
I'm wondering if they use the
so we create
repeater
another
set for that.
box,
It does
another
look very,
variable
very
here,
similar.
which we'll call try. And what we have to do is to set it to 0 every time we go to a new child. So we start off at 0. So Malcolm asks the question, what is 11 times 6? He knows the answer is 66. The child says 56. It's a wrong answer, so we add 1 to try and upgrade it. That's his first go. So we need to introduce a new instruction within the body of the program. Say 32, try equals 0, so that every time we have a new child, that gets reset to 0. Now, this is our loop, and every time we go round the loop, we want to increase try by 1. And there's this curious-looking formula here, which simply means every time we go through the loop, add 1 to the variable try. And we want down here, he did it until the reply was correct, or try was equal to 3. In other words, he gave the child 3 tries. But what else he did was after 3 tries, then he told the child the correct answer. And we put in one final statement which says, if reply, and this less than and greater than means not equal to, if reply is not equal to correct, then print, inverted commas once again, the correct answer is correct. Well, that program would run quite well, but he wants to run it for every child in the class. So he's got 25 children in the class, so we come across a different type of loop. This particular loop here was repeated until certain conditions were fulfilled. This loop we're going to repeat a fixed number of times. In this case, 25 times. There are 25 children in the class. So right up at the top of the program here, we simply say, for child equals, and that's a new variable, child again, child equals 1 to 25, and right down at the bottom here, next child, and that will continue to repeat this program until 25 children have had their shot. So let's try.
I have to pass my O-grade programming on the BBC.
What is 4 times 1? 3. I really know the answer to that, but it really tests out some of the branches in the program. What is 4 times 1? 2. What is 4 times 1? 6. Wrong. The correct answer is 4, which is indeed correct. What is 4 times 3? 12. Right. Well, this is a relatively simple program and it works all right, but when it runs, it's rather badly laid out. You can see these gaps here, you can see the confusion, but it is quite fun and it would help give a child some sort of practice in doing their multiplication tables, at least up to 12. But however clever we make it, we'd still be only using those 3 program ideas of sequence, branch and loop. And that will be true whether we program in BASIC, Fortran or any other programming language. And for that matter, any other dialect of BASIC. This is a particular dialect of BASIC, there are many of them, but the basic fundamentals still apply. But although much ready-written software is of poor quality, there's a good deal of well-designed, well-written material which the user likes and uses, and that really is the final test. But today, graphics, colour and sound all help to make the use of computers attractive and so easy to use that even children in the classroom enjoy them. Our researcher, Catherine Robbins, has been back to that primary school in South London.
The school has only had a computer for about a term.
She's
But already
posh.
most of the staff and most of the children have had some experience of using it, mainly in small groups. Some of their software has been specially written for use in schools.
Shirts.
One of the most popular programs is this simulation, which uses low-resolution graphics to represent a little kingdom beside the Yellow River, which occasionally overflows its banks.
You get a census result of a little village which you're the owner of, and you have to decide how many people to put in the fields, how many people to defend the dike, and how many people to look after the village. There's a band of thieves who lives in the mountains who keep attacking the village to try and get the rice.
Kingdom we found fitted quite well into the overall topic that we're covering with our upper school this term, which is treasure. We've told the children that the treasure that they've got to guard is the rice, and that they are responsible for that treasure.
The thieves always come first. Yeah. Oh no! They're going to be killed off by your decision.
They're very uninhibited about the computer.
I'm assuming
They are very willing to ask questions. They obviously make mistakes, but they don't seem to have any of the fears that the adults have at all.
I thought, oh, help. The thought of approaching it, it was
Jenny
a completely
Capstick.
different experience to anything I'd ever dealt with before. It was the thought, first of all, of mastering the keyboard, not being a typist, and also becoming familiar with the language involved.
3,000 we can this year.
I thought I was going to get it back all muddled up and everything. I was afraid to press
Well,
it.
even the kids are posh.
Oh no, I'm going to get it wrong. And it sort of frightened me.
The games are quite educational. There's quite a few logic problems for them.
He's a more down to earth dude. Graham Mabelson.
And this spelling program gives an instant reward for a correct answer.
Oh no. Oh, it's called Brick Up. It says something like
The laddie's had a ball, I think, big scar in his face.
It would say PA, and you would spell the rest out. Parrot.
Right now, get ready to fire.
Correct. Oh
no. Carpet.
C-A.
Where's R?
R. What about P-I?
No, carpet.
E-T.
Also.
Mavis Beacon, that was
when you have to write
I think it was.
we'll have to write exercises or write sentences and that, and you just sort of think, oh, I can remember how to spell that from the game.
Now, where are we now? We're on there, aren't we? No, we're not.
Crash is a program designed to help them plan ahead and think logically.
We want 9 up. No, we want to put 10 up for safety. No. Yes, we want 2. Then we want 2 left first.
But it's also designed to let them program the computer themselves, using a simple language with instructions like L for left and F for forward.
You print into the computer directions for it to try and go through the maze and hit the target.
How does that help you with your schoolwork then?
I don't think it does.
At least
Well,
he's
so far the children seem to think that the computer's primary use has been for play. But what do the staff feel about its long-term educational value in schools like this?
It's got great potential. Hopefully we could like to do some programming ourselves and get some more software.
See, he was like the cool teacher.
And it has great educational value.
He'd probably load up games or whatever, looking, and then you got Princess Diana.
Used to, and
Coffee
obviously move
as hell.
forward with it.
A vote of confidence there. Most of the software you see running
Yeah,
in the
whatever,
series
that's-
is available from one source or
Poshmark.
another, and you can write in for details. Those 3 programs,
Look
for
at
example,
Cody, look
are
at
soon
that
to be
brush,
transmitted
he's
through
always brushed
CFAX
his
as
hair
part of
literally
BBC's
seconds
new
before going on
telesoftware
camera.
service. Well, next week, we'll be looking at how computers handle words and at the writing of long programs. Until then, goodbye.
Right, okay, who's up for, yeah, that was bloody dry as anything, wasn't it? Yeah, who wants to finish off with a Starcade? Let me know. I'll just remove that. Yeah, I'm going to watch it anyway. Let's stick one on. So this is, if I can find it, episode 44. Share video file. Let me know about the. Let me know how the volume is, because it's hard to tell. It's just tell me if it's too loud. Right, this is Starcade episode 44. Bring it on.
This is Starcade, TV's first video arcade game show, starring your favorite video games, and some brand new ones being introduced to the public for the first time anywhere.
Cheers, Rodin. Take care, buddy.
Here's your host for Starcade, Jeff Edwards.
Starcade games there.
Thank you very much. Starcade. Here we are backstage. Our players are warming up for today's big match, and warm up they should, because one of them today is going to have the opportunity to win their very own video arcade game. So players, you ready? Okay, let's go play Starcade. Here we go.
Over there. What episodes there they must have be? I don't think I have them. We used to 60 something.
Okay, got a nice audience here. That's nice to see. Hello to you at home. And we have a couple of really good contestants. Let's meet them right now. Your name is?
Martin Cole.
Martin, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 16 years old, and I'm a senior at Sarah High School.
16?
After I graduate, I hope to go on to Stanford University and study medicine.
Good, I hope you do too. Didn't you just come back from Europe or something?
Yeah, I was in Europe for 3 weeks.
What was your favorite country?
Probably Germany.
Okay, well, welcome to the show. And your name is?
Travis Nichols.
Travis, how you doing?
Good.
Place is young John Denver.
Well, I'm Travis Nichols from Houston, Texas. I'm 10 years old, and I like to play football, baseball, and I like to snow ski.
Okay, good. And what's your name?
Travis Nichols.
Okay, Travis, nice to have you here. As you know, our contestants are matched up based on their
Nothing
ability to
evening,
play
Craig.
today's games, and one of you is going to have a chance to win this
Look
fabulous video
how
arcade game.
stony
Today
faced
is
that bloody guy is. Look at him. Quite smiling.
Alrighty. You guys shake hands?
Jesus, Payne got us putting our wrist
Well,
on
they
that.
get ready.
Fairly shite.
Kevin will tell us the 5 games we'll be dealing with today. Kev?
Good guys, bad guys, bugs, gorillas, and gutter balls. We've got it all today on Starcade. First, it's Tax Scan, a squadron of spaceships on a valiant mission. Next is Pro Bowling, a roll down the alley. Middle today is Millipede.
that's all right.
The bugs are back. Then it's Wild Western, good guys and bad guys in a train chase.
Don't think about it, that one.
Donkey Kong, Mario in pursuit to save his lady. Jeff?
Okay, Kevin, thanks a lot. Those are today's 5 games. Martin and Travis, both of you had a chance to play them before today's show. One of them, as you probably know, is a mystery game. You pick it in the first 3 games, and you win a prize automatically. And we like our home audience to know what the mystery game is, so Kevin will whisper that to them.
Today's mystery game is Tax Scan.
It's Tax Scan.
Okay, they're all set, and if you're all set, I'll ask you a question. You ready? All right, hands on buzzers. First one to buzz in gets to answer the question, answer correctly, and you'll pick our first game today. In pole position, the sign, prepare to qualify, is pulled across the screen by what? A, an airplane, B, a
Airplane.
B, a blimp.
B, a blimp. Right you are. Okay.
Oh, sorry, you're right. I thought you must have phony
So,
face.
Martin, you get to pick our first game. It gives you a slight advantage here. Which one would you like to play?
I think I'll take Pro Bowling.
Pro Bowling. That's an interesting game. I don't think
Bowling.
we played it
Christ
yet here on
almighty, that's the worst
Starcade.
one
So
yet.
we'll ask Kevin to tell us about Pro Bowling.
We've moved a bowling alley right in here for this game. It's Pro Bowling, and you're in control of the ball, checking the tracking screen to see where the ball is going, then maneuvering the ball by sending it straight down the alley.
I can't imagine
One
this
side or the other. Watch the
actually
timer
has
on the side. It fluctuates up
the
and
ability
down
to get a
all
high
the
score.
time. And if you throw when it's high, your throw will be stronger, and there's more likelihood of success. So, Martin, get on your Starcade bowling shirt and get ready to
So
strike
doing
out
that
on
line
Pro
is the
Bowling.
CRT thing.
We're happy to announce that Kevin is one of the few people here who got 3 strikes in a row. Unfortunately, he was playing baseball at the time. Okay, Kev. Now, you picked Pro Bowling. Why?
Well, I thought it would start the
I
game
don't think
off
Kevin
with
was too
a
chuffed.
game.
And save the high-scoring games till later, huh?
Yeah.
All right, let me give you a little bit of advice about this, and you might want to listen to Travis. If you move your joystick left and right, you move your bowler left and right. Move your joystick up and down, you curve the line of the ball, right or left, and watch your speed meter. It's on the far left side of the screen. When it's where you want it, you press bowl, okay?
Okay.
All right, here we go. You have 50 seconds. Get ready.
He's got a jumper matching his hair colour. Yeah, that's what he's absolutely touched.
Okay, he's going to bowl straight. See if you can pick those up.
I don't know why you picked this game. I mean, look at the score. Even if you were shit hot at it, you're not really exactly winning all the little points. I don't know why they even picked this game, including this thing.
That's good. Oh, yes, you got a a strike. Good for
In
you.
other words, we play Donkey Kong, one barrel will equal your score.
Set those spins up. Here we go. That one's going to be tough. Got about 10 seconds to pick up some points here. Looks like you're going to sit with 470 there. Yeah, it's not quite enough time. 470 points. Okay, congratulations to you, Martin. Head on back. Come on, Travis. He did pretty good, 470 points. Got himself a strike along the way. How are you at pro bowling?
I'm not very good.
Well, you remember what I told him.
When you want to do it,
the speed meter. When it's up to the top, the ball
couple
will
of
go
battles
fast.
at Donkey Kong and you're in the lead.
Time. Joystick left to the right moves the ball left to right, up and down. It will curve the ball. And you'll see the line. It'll make it curve, so you might want to use that. Okay? Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Get ready? You have 50 seconds. Get set. Bowl. Okay, one ball at slow speed off to the side.
Why would you just put it in the middle? You don't understand that.
40 seconds. Here you go. That's it. Oh,
Yeah.
left one. Too bad. Maybe you can pick those two up. 20 seconds. Good shot. You need a strike here. Travis, need a strike. 10 seconds to go. See if you can pick one up. Let's see. Looking good. No, it's off to the side. Good.
Yeah, I suppose. But then if you want to get a bigger point,
You sit with 300.
not a very good ball.
Travis, 300 is what you need. Maybe you should have hit the curve a little bit. Well, that's the way it goes. We'll be right back in a few seconds to see who gets to choose the next game here on Starcade. Stay with us.
Keep it and remind me to never get to that game. Orange, I think. Hey, does it?
Today's grand prize on Starcade is the video arcade game Pango. The penguin is on a run through an ice block field with snow bees in fast pursuit.
There's not many
It's a big
arcade
chilly
games
life.
that I
Pango
can't
Penguin's World
stand.
is an interesting place to be. Pango
Rain
by
Island
Sega
and
Electronics.
Pango.
And now back
I
to
just
Starcade
can't
with
wait to get
Jeff
to Pango
Edwards.
at all.
Kevin, thank you.
An
Both
awful
Martin
game.
and Travis, you're going to have a chance at old Pango here. Let's check the score and see where we are after one game. Martin, you have 470 points. And Travis, you have 300 points. Oh, very, very close. Very, very close. One more game to be played in this round, and then we'll total the points scored on both games, and that will determine who gets to play the name of the game board. So if you guys are ready, I have another question for you.
Martin's either
Some buzzers?
extremely nervous or a
Travis?
miserable
Okay, here we
bastard.
go. In Crystal Castles, what's the name of the player? A. Honey Bear. Yes, Martin.
Bentley Bear.
Bentley Bear. Yeah, you sure know your games. And that
Quite
means,
cracking
once
ourselves
again,
on.
you get to pick the game we're going to play.
Okay, this time, let's try Wild Western.
Wild Western. Okay, that is
Jesus,
a
is he
wild,
going for the worst games ever?
game, and we'll ask our Indian giver about that.
It's the good guy against the bad guys in a race with the train carrying the loot.
Oh, yeah.
Good guy, of course.
Glad to see racism's alive and kicking. The good guys against the bad guys.
Use the train for protection. Jump on top if the bandit does, but whatever, protect the loot.
I've never seen this game before. I'm gonna load
Okay,
up
Kevin,
my,
thank you. Well, you pick Wild Western, and I usually give hints about games, but I'm so bad at this one. Are you pretty good at it?
Well, I'm probably as good as you are on it. I'm not quite that good.
Well, anybody's as good as I am on it. Don't let the bandits get on the train. If they do, you get the sheriff on the train. If
What's
you get
it
to the
called?
water
Wild
tower, press the
Western?
button and the
Let's
sheriff
have a
will
quick
lie
look.
down. And other than that, all I can say is good luck.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, here we go, Martin. You have 50
There you
seconds.
go, yeah, Wild Western.
Get set, play. There's the bandits. There's the sheriff coming up. Oh, you got one.
The perspective of that game is all wrong.
Gonna get him? Oh, dismissed. Hey, you got another one. Good for you. Got two. Plenty of time.
I think it's fair to say that the first two games in this have been the worst games ever.
Over there, let's see.
Absolutely shit.
Look out. They got you. You have a couple more sheriffs left. 10 seconds.
I wouldn't find you shit
You
game
only
at all.
get 3 of them, but you got 400 points. Okay, Martin, congratulations. You head on back. Come on, Travis.
In case whoever wins Donkey Kong's going to win.
Now, he picked Wild Western. He's picked both games so far. How do you feel about Wild Western?
I'm probably as good as you too.
That makes all of us not too good on this game. Well, they got 400 points. There's a chance for you to score some points here. We wish you good luck. Okay, here we go. Travis, you ready? Get set, play. Here's the train. Here's the bandits. Here comes the sheriff. Got one. Good for you.
Yeah, I think the right idea.
Got another one. Good. Doing great. Plenty of time.
Yeah, it doesn't help the fact that you've got an intro that takes about 10
That's all
seconds.
right. You'll be back on there in a second. You got a
I
bonus
forgot
point.
to
That's
say
why
that.
that's so good. Here you go.
I used about 40 time there. And there's absolutely no baddies appearing. Yeah, at least he's actually winning.
Well, Travis, it turns out you're pretty good at it. You got bonus points. You have 1,500, and that's great. You head on back. I think the lead has changed hands. Both of you, of course, had a chance to play Pro Bowling and Wild Western, and now one of you is going to play for a special prize, and that's the name of the game board. So let's total up all the scores, and we find out that, Martin, you have 870.
Going down,
Travis,
pick
you
it up.
have 1,800. You beat Martin at his own game. Come on down here, Travis. Good for you. Now it's time to play the name of the game board. Behind you we have 4 video screens. We're going to show you 4 video games. If you name the games correctly, you're going to win a nice prize. How are you at the video games?
I'm pretty good.
Okay, we'll find out. Turn
Don't
around.
get cocky, kid.
In the upper left-hand corner. Is that Fantasy or Pioneer Balloon?
Fantasy.
Fantasy is right. Number 2, pole position or turbo?
Turbo.
Turbo is right. Good for you. Number 3, Super Pac-Man or Pac-Man Plus?
Super Pac-Man.
Yes. Number 4, is this spirals or kicks?
Kicks.
You're
Well
right.
done, son.
Good for you. Congratulations. That's 4 out of 5. Because the 5th one is, how do you spell the name of the person who's going to give you the prize?
Jim?
Right. Jim, what's the prize?
Thanks, Steve. Travis, right. It's ColecoVision, the home video arcade system with effects just like in the arcade.
Not bad price.
Your vision is our vision. ColecoVision from Coleco.
Okay, Kevin, thanks a lot. You hang on right here. Travis, in a minute, we'll be back to play the final round of Starcade and see who has a chance to win their own video arcade game.
We're going to see that there, or we're going to black it out.
Here's the latest news from the Starcade hotline. Some of the Starcade crew have racked up some big points on video arcade games, between tapings, of course. Here's a few of our high scores. Cameraman Charlie, Game Wrangler Don, Contestant Coordinator Marie,
Not bad scoring the cube there.
Game Medic Jim, Director Phil, Maintenance Gordon, Lighting Director Phil, Technical Director Steve, Host Jeff Edwards, and of course, mine. And Jeff, I'm looking to top your top score on Sinistar.
I've been much too busy with more important things, Kevin. Okay, guys, this is it. 1 game left to play, 40 seconds to play it. After that, we're going to total up
Oh,
all the
that's
scores.
really
And the top
music,
scorer
isn't it?
on all games is going to get a chance to win Pengo. So if you're ready, I have the last question for
No
you.
thanks, I think I
Travis,
prefer
hands on
the
buzzers.
ColecoVision
Here we go.
myself.
In Guzzler, how many fireballs must be extinguished on the...
4.
Martin. 4 is right.
Jesus.
I never even get a chance to give you the choices. Holy mackerel, you sure know your
Man,
games.
I
Now,
can-
there's 3 games left up there, Martin. One of them is the mystery game. That hasn't been picked
You've
yet.
got
So we
absolute
have
after picking
Donkey
it up,
Kong,
too.
Millipede, and Tax Scan. What's it going to be?
Oh, let's go for the middle one, Millipede.
Millipede. Okay, that was not the mystery game. The mystery game was Tax Scan, but Millipede is an interesting game. And Kevin
1 in
will
2
tell us how to
chance and
play
you
it.
made an arse it.
You are a mighty millipede, flanked by a marauding band of oversized insect rogues, and they are advancing on you steadily. You must stop them with your bow and arrow as they move closer and closer through the mushroom forest. Score points with direct hits to the millipede, or any of his insect buddies, or take out a group at a time with DDT bombs. Truth and goodness are on your side, and you will be victorious over the millipede.
Truth and goodness.
Okay, Kevin?
He
Kevin?
talks shite.
Oh, darn, looks like the early bird got him. Well, all right. Millipede it is. Why'd you pick Millipede?
Well, this is probably the best game that you're offering here today, so I picked this one.
Okay, and you need some points, too. You're a little bit behind here, so you need some points to get back in the lead if you
That's
can.
a good reason to pick it.
Go for the DDT bomb if you can get it. That'll give you some extra points.
I can't believe that nobody picked Donkey Kong.
You have 40 seconds for this game. You ready? Get set. Go. There you go. Down to 600 points. Oh, you can play this game. There's DDT.
There you go. That's just completely eliminated the first two games. That was the point I was trying to make.
All right, good play. 20 seconds. That's okay. Plenty of time. 13 seconds. Some more points here. Got it.
I think it's actually better to die at the very, very end because then you get the bonus for all the mushrooms.
13,247. Now, you really know how to play that game. Congratulations to you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Head on back. Travis.
I thought he was going to try and tip the wee guy up.
Martin put the pressure on you there.
Yeah.
Now, he's picked each game so far. This time he picked Millipede. How do you feel about Millipede?
All right, I'm pretty good too.
Oh, yeah, well, I think you're going to have to be to hold your lead. Let's see how well you do. You have 40 seconds. Get ready. Get set.
Come on, we're rooting for you, boy.
Oh, good shooting. Got it. Got a DDT bomb. Good for you. Look out.
There's a DDT bomb within actually. Still anything in it.
20 seconds to go.
Want to keep it going, Scott?
Ready to fire. Oh, good shot.
Come on, keep it going. Keep it going.
10,020. Okay, head on back, Travis. Martin beat Travis at Millipede, but whether it was enough to win the entire game, I don't know, but we will find out. Both of you are very good players, and the lead's going back and forth, and now it's the final score, and we'll find out who's going to have a shot at their very own Pango game. So if you guys are set, we'll tally up the scores. You ready? Okay, Martin, you have a total of 14,117.
Hey!
You have 11,840. Martin, you did it. Congratulations to you.
Well, man,
Travis, you're a good player. You had the lead at one time. You got the name of the game.
To be fair, son, I think you've got the better deal.
Congratulations to you. Did you have a good time?
You've got your life.
You did. Nice to have met you. And Martin, you're our champ for the day. Congratulations to you. And Kevin has a prize for you for being the #1 player today. Kev?
First, it's Konicka's new Disc 15, the world's first autofocus disc camera.
camera.
Get sharp pictures from
forgot
14
what it is,
inches to
actually.
infinity automatically. The only disc camera on Earth with autofocus, Disc 15 by Konica. And Spectra Video SV318, the personal computer
Oh, I know, why is he getting all
out
these?
of. Featuring built-in CPM compatibility, 32K of ROM, 32K of RAM, 10 user-definable functions, and a built-in joystick from Spectra Video.
How do you feel about those prizes?
Great. I really wanted a computer.
Great, Martin. Anything else you want?
I'm going to try and get the Pingo game.
Okay, we'll see if we can do it right after this.
Who did you win that? I don't remember. Whoever won got the highest score
Some
getting
of
a
our
prize at
contestants
that.
and some members of the studio audience will
But I missed
receive
something.
Trigger Command, the joystick making America trigger happy. Comfort, pistol grip, and trigger action, the thumbless approach to higher scores, the Trigger Command joystick from Electra Concepts. And from UMI, Word Feud, the competitive word search game that involves the whole family. It's irresistible fun for everyone. UMI software for family home entertainment, Word Feud from UMI.
I don't quite know what
Welcome
that was.
back to Starcade. Okay, now you can have a
Is
shot
that
at
an
your own
electronic
video
game or
arcade
something?
game, Martin. During the commercial break, we informed you that if you picked Donkey Kong, you'd have to score at least 1,125 points. If you picked TaxScan, you'd have to score at least 11,670
Donkey
points.
Kong.
Those are the average scores of more than 20 other players that played these same games. I understand you reached your
From
decision
what,
and
about
you picked
5 barrels? And
Donkey
you've got
Kong. Okay, Donkey Kong it is. That means if you score 1,125 points or more in 30
it? Nah, you
seconds,
get the
you're going to
point.
win our
So
grand
that's
prize.
what,
That's
four
bingo. So while
barrels?
Kevin tells us about Donkey Kong, we'll get ready to go over and play.
You're Jumpman, and your goal is to rescue the lady from Donkey Kong. Reach the top and score points by jumping over the barrels hurled down on you by Donkey Kong. Make extra points by jumping up to get the hammer.
But see, I don't suppose you've got any episodes of this.
On that level.
I don't have any episodes in the 60s, and that's where your mate comes in, I think.
Moves up, and you begin again.
All right, now,
62.
Martin, whether you want to try to get all the way to the top, I don't know. You only have 30 seconds. You need 1,125 points. I can tell you how to do this. You want me to do that?
Sure.
Okay, it's going to cost you. You win Pango. I get to play it a lot, okay?
Sure.
All right, let me tell you how to do this, and then take my advice or not take my advice. It's really, in the end, it's up to you. Grab a hammer. First hammer you get to. Hit the fireball, that's 800 points. Hit the next barrel, that's 300 points. And then you just jump over the next barrel, and you can go home with Pango. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, good luck to you. You have 30 seconds.
He's a nice guy, him.
Ready? Get set. Play. And here we go.
You have to wait for the fireball to come down, well, that's the problem. What are you doing?
Going back with the hammer. Misses the hammer. Gets the hammer. Okay. Is that fireball going to come up? There you go. Another one. Good. 710. Need that fireball. Where's that fireball? 1000. Come on. One more.
He's done it.
All right. You did it. Yes, you did it. Way to go, Martin. I was so nervous about the fireball, I didn't see you make the final score. You take Pango home with you. This is Jeff Edwards from Starcade. See you in the next show. Until then, I hope all your troubles get zapped. Bye-bye.
He's a whole family there. Where's John Boy? Not John Boy. Where's John Denver? I love how they gave him some tips, even though the fireball never actually came up.
This is Kevin McMahon speaking. Starcade is a JM production.
Oh, that'll be that. Excellent. Right, folks, listen, that's enough watching Mamemeister. I will be back probably next Wednesday night for some more fun and shenanigans, or else some making the most of the micro, which I have to say was bloody boring. But anyway, that's what it's all about. So listen, folks, until next time, I'll see you Sunday, 7 till 9. Have a great rest of the week. And Kenny, I will text you shortly about tomorrow night. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Take it easy.